Hey everyone, I hope you guys are enjoying Monster Hunter Rise or Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak in whichever console you're choosing to play it on. Today I wanted to host a little bit of a discussion topic, and I certainly want to encourage you guys to let me know in the comments what it is that you think regarding anomaly investigation monsters. Did they actually succeed? Did Capcom succeed making anomaly investigation monsters good? Did they actually live up to the expectations that we had in the promise of tougher, better encounters with better rewards for official endgame content and of course the endgame grind? Or did they just simply kind of like tap out halfway through and just rehashed all monsters with a little bit of couple of modifiers, qualifiers, and of course just a little bit of a higher difficulty, but not real actual true rewards? So do let me know in the comments, what do you think? Did Capcom do a good enough job with anomaly investigation monsters specifically and the entire anomaly investigation systems, or did they just actually fail and tap out towards the end? Because I think I'm going to lean a little bit on the latter. Now, I don't want to be too critical of this. I have kind of been thinking about anomaly investigations as the true end game sequence for Rise and Sunbreak. And when it comes to direct comparisons of other end game systems that they have provided in previous Monster Hunter games, I don't really have a real complaint when it comes to anomaly investigations. I think the thought of just grinding so many levels, I think it's a little bit off-putting. I think I've been open about that in the past. It doesn't take away from the fun of the game, because at that point in time, you've most likely already crafted a set for yourself that should be able to keep yourself alive on any sort of anomaly investigation grinds. That's kind of a given. Of course, you're just doing this to get more RNG rerolls for curious crafting. You're getting more materials. Maybe you're going to craft entire new armor sets, try out new weapons. All of that is understood. That's not lost on me. I think at the end of the day, the grind in and of itself is fine if you're willing to, try out new things, different, methods of playing. But if you're not that type of gamer, if you're not that type of hunter, you might end up getting stuck with the notion of like, I'm doing the same type of monsters, anomaly investigation grinds over and over. I'm not having a great time. I already have my setup maxed out. I don't really want to do RNG rerolls all over for a brand new armor set, even though I have plenty of materials already. Maybe you're just doing talisman rerolls again, because you might end up actually getting a brand new talismans, which of course for the next free title update we're going to end up getting new talisman options. So those talismans that you already have, chances are they're going to be a little bit not obsolete, but chances are you're going to be able to get something a little bit better. And at the end of the day, it just ultimately is just an RNG grind, which is all fair and well and good for some players, but not everyone. However, my sticking point to me specifically is the monsters themselves. Did the difficulty spike live up to expectations? I would argue that the Risen monsters are actually a better way to go about it, with the Elder Dragons actually being modified and more powerful. They look different. They have new moves. We went over this in separate videos for Risen Teostra, Risen Kushala Daora, and Risen Camelios, where after Anomaly Investigation, I believe it's 211, they end up having brand new icons and brand new set of attack. If you didn't watch those videos, I highly encourage you to watch them. Went extensively breaking down all their new attacks, their new formats, all of that. It's really interesting if you haven't put in the work to actually see those versions of those monsters. But the grind is so steep to be able to see that, and only 3 of those monsters so far have that. We expect Crimson Glow Valstrax to get that same treatment going forward, and of course other elders, Shagaru, of course to be able to get that treatment at a later point. But of course, the overwhelming majority of the just anomaly investigation monsters do not have that treatment. If anything, this brand new hazard version of monsters are actually the ones getting that treatment with new attacks and new moves and stuff like that, but they are not anomaly investigation. So the bulk of the monsters that have anomaly investigation equivalents are not having new attacks. They're not really, I don't want to say extremely dangerous in their own way, in their own format. And we still have, just overwhelming set of amount of content that could have been tweaked a little bit better. but Capcom just simply decided to just kind of let them fold into this anomaly investigation setup that they did for Endgame, and it doesn't really move the ball all that much. I think they've done a much better job with the Risen monsters in their own formats, kind of like repurposing those monsters, giving them essentially a new look, a new set of styles, and new armor sets on top of that. Where other versions of monsters that just have anomaly investigations don't have new drops, don't have new boosted armor sets, don't have really anything to stick with, that I think it would have gone a long way. One of the arguments that I have seen raised regarding when it comes to weapons and armors is that would it really hurt for Capcom to go ahead and give us a brand new weapon tier? So every weapon maxes out at 10 now, right? At tier 10. Would it really hurt if they give us a tier 11 set of weapons for each one of those monsters, and all of the materials that you're going to be using are anomaly investigation monsters unique to that specific monsters, maybe tickets, so every monster just specifically just drops one ticket, and the equivalent has to be like you hunted that specific monster 5 to 10 times in order to be able to get those tickets. The grind would be steep, but you get another level of a weapon, so you really do have a real qualifier to actually go out of your way to hunt every single anomaly investigation monster, at the very least a handful of times. At the same time, the same thing can be said for armor sets. One of the biggest criticisms we've had is that there's not really that many armor sets in the game specifically tied to anything outside of monsters, and there's all these anomaly investigation monsters and even apexes now in Master Rank, and none of them have armor sets. Now, that doesn't mean that the armor sets need to be that much better, but maybe just give them one extra deco slot, maybe tweak their resistances a little bit, maybe given a little bit one higher tier of defense, something very basic like that, but it's enough of an incentive for you to go out of your way to be able to craft those armors, to be able to get that extra tier of weapons, and just put in the actual work for all of that. I think that would have gone a long way and gave anomaly investigation monsters just a little bit more juice and purpose at the end of the day, instead of just having to wait for RNG setups, or you having to just knowingly have to grind all those monsters to be able to get the levels, but not really the actual rewards. The rewards are all tied to the RNG curious crafting, which is all well and good. We know how RNG works. Whether you're a fan of it or not, it's entirely independent upon you as a player, but maybe tying something specifically to the anomaly investigation monsters, if they're not giving them new attacks, if they're not giving them any sort of true real purpose outside of RNG grind, then maybe an extra set of like armors. Again, just very small tweaks to the armor. One extra deco slot here or there for maybe the pants or the head or the chest, maybe some better resistances, maybe higher armor depending on the monster. Just very small tweaks, not entirely new skills or maxed out skills or anything like that. Just very small changes. And of course, weapons go alongside that with a brand new level. No new designs, nothing crazy, just small little things that would give players a little bit of a higher incentive for these anomaly investigation monsters, which some of them do stand out. I specifically spoke about like the first time I fought Anomaly Investigation Flaming Espinas, for example. That thing was just carding people left and right. Is extremely powerful, is very dangerous. The higher, of course, level you fight it, the more it is. Now these new Risens that appeared through Anomaly Investigations are extremely powerful. They're very good fights, but they don't really live up to the reward side of things because you're farming materials for RNG, and that's not a lot of fun. You're farming levels, which is not a lot of fun. But if there actually are rewards tied to that, then I think we would all have that incentive to actually go farm those 5 anomaly investigation, Grady Suchis, for example, those Kezus. Maybe you haven't done those fights all that much. Now you do. On top of the rewards that you typically would get, you get your levels. Now you get to also grab those tickets, maybe craft a new armor, a new version of that armor, and of course, grab a new tier of weapons on top of that. So, and there would be more incentives specifically tied to hunting those monsters, where as of right now, you're just trying to, I separately made a video on this in the past, that if you're going to be farming, for example, specifically like, anomaly investigation skulls, for example, or bones, there's a handful of monsters that will drop them. Chances are you're just going to go after the easiest monster to take down because those are the materials you need for you to be able to do your RNG curious crafting. You don't really want to deal with the other monsters because they're harder. Maybe they have higher health. Maybe they hit a little bit harder. Maybe those moves are a little bit harder to telegraph. So you'd rather just take down the easier version of those monsters that will give you the rewards that you need. because none of those monsters have a very unique item in and of themselves to really merit a actual hunt for that monster. So that's kind of like my biggest gripe when it comes to anomaly investigations. They could have done a better job. Of course, it means more work, but we have had now, by the time that the game is all said and done, 5 full-on free title updates. They didn't have to do everything all at once or right out of the gate, in the same way that we have been getting anomaly investigation tiers raised with new monsters and stuff like that. They could have been doing in the background extra work for those other monsters that didn't get all that love. They just simply got a brand new level, and now we have to grind their levels, and maybe a little bit of extra love could have been tossed their way so we could have more content in our hands. But that's certainly the discussion that I wanted to bring with you guys today. Do let me know in the comments, did anomaly investigation monsters really end up living up to the promise, or do you think they're just kind of like, it is what it is? It's a good end game setup. I don't have a real big issue with that, but they could have done a little bit more in that regard. If you're brand new to my channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up. And as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya.